rise today to share my take on this year's budget and what this means for the residents of Barron River and Far North Queensland. For too long, the F in Far North Queensland has stood for forgotten. We have long been overlooked when it comes to meaningful investment from the state. We've felt it in our roads, in our health services, in our housing, and in the support our communities and industries need to thrive. The list of projects neglected in my region is long. Long overdue upgrades to roads and bridges, a hospital which needs investment, a safe helipad and more parking, sports clubs that don't even have a clubhouse, adequate change rooms for females, or proper lighting for night games and training. We also lacked investment in the environment, housing and in mental health services. There is a lot of work to do in Far North Queensland. One of the key reasons I put my hand up to run for Parliament was because I could see that Far North Queensland wasn't getting its fair share, and I knew that that had to change. That's why I'm pleased to see this year's state budget take a real step in the right direction. This budget is a responsible budget and a first step in rectifying the fiscal vandalism of the former Labor government. I'm pleased to see that all of my key election commitments have been honoured, and there are a lot of extras in the budget that I wasn't expecting. Let me start with one of the most significant commitments in the budget for my electorate, and that is the funding of a brand new Barron River Bridge. This is something that I've been rallying for 500 plus days, or if you ask the Minister, Mickelberg over there, I've been his little hemorrhoid. I want to thank the Minister, Mickelberg. Yeah, pain in the dot, whatever. Yep. I want to thank you for listening to my community during my campaign. He travelled across Cairns on several occasions to view the Barron River Bridge, and he and the Premier fought hard for 50-50 funding for the federal government and to save the state from paying for 80-20 funding. I sincerely thank the Cabinet and especially the Minister for putting our Far North Queensland region at the forefront in this state's budget. To everyone in our community who reached out, who shared the concerns, who called for action for over a decade, thank you. I know this investment is not going to ease your pain for a few years yet while the bridge goes through lengthy planning and building, but it is another step forward. The second thing people ask is, what about the range? And I'm pleased to also see more funding in the budget to improve the Coranda range. We still have another 18 months of repair work to the range to get it back to pre-Jasper floods, but I'm pleased that there is another $262.5 million funding in the budget that will begin to improve the range and make the road more resilient. Other key infrastructure projects in the Far North will also come to light in this year's budget, including upgrades to the Western Arterial Road, and this is one of the busiest roads and vital during flood events and daily during the morning and evening commutes. The Bruce Highway is also set for a much-needed upgrade, which was made even more evident in January this year when our region was cut off from the rest of Australia, becoming an island for weeks. This commitment to safer regional roads means better access for our trucks, our tourists and our locals. I'm also pleased our government has a huge focus on getting more people into owning their own homes. The extension of the $30,000 first homeowners grant, abolishing stamp duty, allowing first homeowners to rent out a room to help pay off their mortgage, and the new nation-leading Boost to Buy deposit scheme will be a game changer. And I know that we will have more people getting out of the rent race and into their own home. Far North Queensland will also have the biggest investment in the state for homelessness services and social and affordable housing. We've had a huge win for health also with the axing of the patient's tax and the hospital rescue plan, which will deliver 104 beds to the Cairns-based hospital, as well as expanding services including orthopaedics, ophthalmology and plastic and reconstructive surgery. And of course, funding to secure a new and safe location for the Cairns Hospital helipad and new car park. The $67 million investment includes $19 million to deliver long overdue dedicated adolescent and young adult mental health acute beds in Cairns, and also $60 million for stage 1 of the Cairns Health and Innovation Centre. Our hardworking paramedics have also had a huge win with a $29 million commitment towards the redevelopment of the Cairns Ambulance Operations Centre, a project that is long overdue and it wasn't a priority by the former government. I'm also really thrilled with the allocation of $15.5 million in the budget to support the expansion of the Smithville Mountain Biking Trail, a project of regional and international significance. I fought hard for this commitment for 18 months and I thank the LNP government for recognising its importance, not only to my electorate but to the wider Far North Queensland region. I took the now Premier there in my first weeks as a candidate, and I took Minister O'Connor there, who I don't think will ever forgive me for taking him on his first ever mountain bike. And I also want to thank Minister Powell for making the commitment in his first weeks as the new Minister for Tourism to commit to fast-tracking this project. This project, once complete, will inject $95 million per annum into the Cairns economy through increasing visitor spending. This funding commitment is the result of over a decade of passionate advocacy from the Cairns mountain biking community, the Cairns Mountain Bike Club, TTNQ, and so many dedicated young riders and families who have championed this vision and were ignored by the other government. Their tireless work has helped put Cairns on the map as a world-class mountain biking destination, and I'm thrilled to see their efforts recognised with real funding that will support jobs, tourism and healthy active lifestyles for generations to come, and we will be the reef, rainforest and riding capital of the globe. The environment has also had a big win, with the biggest investment in NRMs to invest in on-ground activity that will deliver significant outcomes for threatened species, waterways and coasts, sustainable agriculture, disaster recovery and resilience, biosecurity and engaging in First Nations people. We've also committed to 150 more land and sea rangers and $24 million to the Great Barrier Reef Urban Technology Innovation Fund to tackle wastewater, stormwater and industrial runoff to the Great Barrier Reef. We are also investing $600,000 to build a new turtle rehabilitation centre on Green Island, and we've set ourselves the ambitious target of increasing our protected areas by more than in one term than those opposite did in a decade. The budget also commits $2 million investment to upgrade some of our most valued community spaces across the Cairns Northern Beaches hinterland. This is funding that I fought hard for after the Jasper floods. It will offer and support much-needed improvements to community halls that not only are used by and loved by locals, but they provided a lifeline during the devastating Jasper floods. Community halls like Masons Beach, Holloways Beach, Yorkeys Knob and Coa Hall and Coranda Neighbourhood Centre were vital in supporting locals during and for many, many, many long months after the floods. I want to thank all the locals who volunteer in these halls, who fundraise constantly to raise money to upgrade them. I know this investment in your community spaces will be put to great use. The crucial investment of $888,000 to the North Queensland Natural Disasters Mitigation Program couldn't come at a more important time for Far North Queensland. After the devastating floods we faced in 2023 and again in 2025, our communities know all too well the harsh reality of disaster. This funding will help local councils strengthen flood defences, reduce future risks and protect families, homes and businesses from the trauma and financial strain that disasters bring. This budget also delivers $9 million to support veterans and their families through legal, employment, homelessness and education initiatives. And I want to commend the Premier for this budget allocation and his commitment to developing Queensland's very first veterans strategy. I am passionately advocating for a new legacy house right there in Far North Queensland, a dedicated space where veterans can access the support that they deserve. And Legacy have been advocating on deaf ears to all levels of government for years now. So Premier, with this funding you have allocated, I'm sure that you know that I'm going to be pestering you hard for a share of that $9 million for FNQ Legacy House, so look out. Here in Barron River, I'm also pleased to announce that many of our local schools will be receiving significant upgrades, a new nature-based playground at Redland State College, a nature-based playground at Caravonica State School, a shade structure at Trinity Beach State School and a new multi-purpose hall for Freshwater State School, and an additional $900,000 for general maintenance across the schools in my electorate. These upgrades will improve learning environments, support outdoor play and ensure our schools continue to meet the needs of a growing region. Madam Speaker, you have reviewed and approved my speech for incorporation, and as such, I ask that the remainder of my speech be incorporated into the record of proceedings. Thank you very much.
Deputy Speaker. Sorry.